blankets? So did everybody get, you got a bolster. Did everybody get a bolster and a strap? So, do you need a strap? I'll get it. Pat, you want a strap?
Yes, I do.
I got it. So, those at home, if you don't have a bolster, don't worry about it. You don't have to, like, this is at the end, towards the end of class, and we're going to lie back on them, but if you don't have one, it's no big deal. But do get a strap, or what you have at home for a strap, so that you can have it and be able to stretch with it later today. So, if you need to sit up on a blanket, do. Sit comfortably. That's how I feel too, Ellen. I'm kind of like, get everything within reach there. And then just close your eyes. Let yourself lengthen up through the top of your head. Feel your shoulders releasing down. Go ahead and move your hands around if you need to so you feel really easy and your shoulders nice and open across your chest. And enjoy your breath coming in and going out through your nose. Let your face relax now. Let go through your jaw. Feel your spine supporting you as you lengthen up through the top of your head. And just move a little bit forward and back with your breath. As you exhale, come a little bit forward. And when you inhale, come on back up. So take your time. Think of keeping your spine nice and long, so that you're not coming forward, rounding into your upper back here. It's almost more the feeling of your chest almost leads you forward, and you keep that length of your spine. So it may not be very far. It's starting to link your movement with your breaths. Now the next time you come back up to sitting upright, let yourself stay there and release your arms on out beside you. Take a nice inhale, and on the exhale, let's twist to our left. Bring your right hand on around, maybe all the way to your left knee. And then we're going to actually, as we get here, have another nice inhale. And as we exhale, we're going to twist back around, all the way around into the other direction. So it's starting to move this way with your breath. Inhale into the length of the spine in your twist. And let your exhales bring you back around to the other side. So you're going to move at your own pace. Letting your exhales be what bring you around into the other side. Just imagine you're waking up your spine in your twists. Waking up the muscles all along the side of the spine as you come into these easy, gentle movements. And now the next time that you come back to center, let yourself stay there. Let yourself come on back around into center here now. And let's inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come on down together in front of our hearts. And then we'll reverse and inhale the hands right up through the midline. On the exhale, open the arms on back out and down. And then bring your chin down towards your chest. Let yourself release your head. The back of the neck release. Turn your head a little bit so the chin comes one to one side and then the other. And come on back into center with your chin. We'll come on back up. And we're going to switch the cross of our legs if we're cross-legged. So bringing the other leg in front if you were, but that's fine to keep your legs long, and you know that. And then we'll, again, just start to move a little bit with the breath. Let your exhales bring you forward, and your inhales bring you back up. That easy rocking motion. next time you end up sitting up tall, let yourself stay there. Let's bring our hands on out to the floor beside us. And now tilt your head to the right. Let your right ear come towards your right shoulder. And then see if you can imagine the weight of your head, just letting you kind of roll sideways down through your spine. So the head just kind of feels really heavy. You use your right hand there to support you. And then as you roll back up, let your head be the last thing to come to be right up back there on top. And we're just going to keep on going to tilt the head the other way. And again, see if you can imagine your head kind of just drawing you a little more, rolling a little bit down through your spine there sideways. And then as you roll back up, let your head again come all the way back to be the last thing right up there on top. And then from here, let's inhale our hands out from our shoulders and start to circle your hands around. Now, as you're circling your hands, start to let your arms very slowly move forward so that they're coming slowly to end up to where your hands are in front of your shoulders, right? So how long you take to get there, that's up to you. Once you get there, your hands are still rolling around there. See if you can reverse the way they're turning. So let yourself reverse. And now we're going to come back out with the arms, letting them come on out, back out beside us. Keep the hands into those circular motions there. Once the arms are straight back out from your shoulders, go ahead and reach out through your fingertips. And we're going to lower our arms on down beside us. And let your shoulders make easy little circles. Not so much you feel like you're tensing, in your shoulders. They're just very slowly and very small little circles, right? And then reverse when you're ready. Let the shoulders kind of come the other way. Good. And then we're going to reach our legs on out. And if you can, take a block here. Take your legs out a little bit. And bring the block between, so that it's the least wide, right? Between your legs, above your knees. So you're not pushing into the side of your kneecaps into the block, but you're just above the knees there. And you're going to just press into your inner thighs, into the block here. Kind of imagine you're trying to make the block go down towards the ground more. It's like you're feeding the block down. And now sit up nice and tall. Here is a staff pose. Very engaged in your legs when you're squeezing in like this. Feel your heels on the ground. Take a nice inhale. And on the exhale, let's twist to our left. Keep squeezing your legs into that block. So you're very much engaged in the legs and the hips. Feel how when you come into that twist, it feels even like your spine is longer. One more inhale. And on the exhale, keep squeezing as you come on back around into center and let yourself come into the other direction. Really feel that block there. Feel those inner thighs squeezing in. Imagine them melting down just a little bit. One more inhale. And on the exhale, come on back around into center. And then that really gets your legs warm in a hurry. So take the block out, shake it out, and let's come on around towards our hands and knees, right? So if you don't want to be on your knees, do not be. Grab a blanket. You can put your hands up on that seat of the chair. Actually, I'm going to bring mine around and use it in a minute. But take your time. Get your hands underneath your shoulders. If you need to come on to fists, do. If you're fine to be with your palms down, spread those fingers nice and wide. And then just easily flow through your back, just coming into your cat-cows. And if it feels better to go slower, go slower. If it feels better to move a little more quickly, move a little more quickly. See if you can imagine your tailbone initiating every time. So your tailbone is the first thing that starts to either draw up under you to come up into that cat pose, or to send it back and up when you come into cow. So be mindful, take your time. Good, finish off the one you're on. And come on back to a more neutral spine. From here, let's step our left foot forward. We're going to come into lunge. You know you're welcome to use your blocks any height. You're welcome to have your hands up on a chair if you'd like to be higher, if you'd like to be lower. switch the height of your blocks or bring your hands down more towards the floor if you'd rather. So take your time, let yourself be easy as you come into this lunge here. Make sure that front knee is aligned. Remember, you want your feet like you're on those very narrow railroad tracks, so it feels pretty good up into your hips. Good, and we're going to switch legs. It does not matter how you do that, whether you like to step forward or step back or put your knees down, whatever works. And now just enjoy, lengthen out through the whole back of your body. Really imagine now the length of your spine as you reach into that inner back heel and you reach out through the top of your head. Good, and we're going to switch legs again. Now I know some of you like to lift up a little higher, either bringing your left hand or forearm onto your thigh there, so if that feels good, you can. If you want to do both hands up, go for it, that's fine too. And we're going to switch legs again. So again, totally optional. Think about bringing that right hand or forearm up to your thigh or bringing both hands up. I know some of you like to do that. Or keeping both hands down. Good. Let's step forward from here. Come on into standing forward bend. So feet hips distance apart and parallel. Let both your knees bend a little bit here. Get comfortable in how you are as far as support-wise, whether you want your hands on the blocks or the chair or elbows above your knees. Or perhaps you feel better just to let your arms hang down, bringing yourself into your standing forward bend where your back feels comfortable. And now, breaths. Easy breaths in and out. Let yourself receive your breaths as fully and deeply as you can, but not forcing. And then, if you can, on your exhales, just imagine your face relaxing. Every time you exhale, you're just letting go through your face and your jaw. If you can imagine relaxing your throat, and sometimes even your teeth. If you think about your teeth, you imagine, wow, what if I could relax my teeth? It does something, actually, to the jaw. One more breath here. And then we will bring our hands up to our hips, bend our knees, and rise on up to standing. And we'll inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come right down together in front of our hearts. So coming into your mountain pose, and you know, adjust however you need. Get your feet just the distance apart that feels good for you. And let your hands easily come to meet there in front of your chest, whether your eyes are opened or closed, looking on out as though you're looking at the horizon. And see if you can find that length, really. Feet equally grounded in the floor, but feeling the crown of your head reaching upward. Finding that spot for your head where it does feel weightless up here on top. One more breath here in your mountain pose, finding that quiet strength of simply standing, feeling that alignment, and then we'll release our arms on down beside us, and inhale both arms all the way out and up. And on the exhale, we're going to bend our knees, come forward from your hips as you come into your standing forward bend. And let your next inhale help you find a nice flat, long back. And we're going to step our right foot back and come into lunge here. So coming into that lunge, draw your shoulders down. And let's make our way into a down dog. So it is your choice, whether your hands are on a chair, on blocks, or on the floor. Ease your way back into your down dog and enjoy reaching back equally through your sitting bones. If you like to walk, go right ahead. If bending a knee at a time really helps you ease your way into your down dog, do. or bending both knees at the same time. Either one of those, if that helps you to get into your dog, to find that sense of length in your spine. And on our next inhale, we'll come out towards a plank. So coming out, you don't have to do a full plank. You know that. You can go to your forearms and get out of your hands. You can put your knees down and do a half plank. Enjoy. Let yourself find that nice strength there in the core of the body, reaching your sitting bones down towards your heels. And then we'll come on back again into down dog. Beautiful. Reaching equally back, feeling all that space in your spine, and thinking of the back of your head being in line with your spine. This time, right foot will come forward to come into lunge, so you can put your left knee down to get there. And then we'll come all the way back forward into standing forward bend. Feet hips distance apart and parallel. However you like to stay supported, do. And then right to your breaths. Again, like you're just receiving the breaths easily in and out. Appreciate the movement of the ribs as you breathe in and out. Feeling them expand when you inhale. And as we bring our hands back up to our hips, we'll bend our knees and come on back up to standing and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Let's release our arms down beside us. Bring your arms down. Turn your palms forward. So you let yourself float your arms a little away from you, and now the palms are forward. And if you need to shift around a little bit to feel really balanced, do. Think about being like you had your body between two panes of glass, one in front of you and one behind you. So you feel very balanced, and it almost makes it easier just to stand there and to feel balanced between the front and the back of your body. And let's inhale the arms up into a wide open V. So as you open up here, turn your pinkies more towards each other. Let your shoulders melt down. Up to you. If it feels really good to lift your gaze up a little bit, do. Just make sure you're reaching your tailbone down towards between your heels. One more breath. And then as you exhale, come forward. Stay about parallel to the floor. So bend the knees, and you're really reaching out through your arms like you have airplane wings, right? Reaching out fingertip to fingertip. Imagine the widest wingspan you can here. One more breath. And as you exhale, go ahead and bring yourself on into your forward bend wherever you need for support. And let your next inhale help you find a nice flat back. And this time, left foot comes back into lunge. Draw your shoulders down. Find that lunge now in your whole body. And we'll come on into a downward facing dog pose. So letting yourself reach back. Spread your fingers wide if you can. I know it's harder on the block. If your hands are on the floor of the chair, it's a little easier. Hug those elbows towards each other. And on your next inhale, come on out towards that plank. And again, your choice of a plank, right? You can go down with your knees. You can go down to your forearms. You can do little push-ups if you like. If it feels good to you to bend your elbows. Let yourself come more into your arms and into your shoulders. And then we'll come on back again into downward facing dog. And this time we'll bring our left foot forward. So whatever you need to do to come into that lunge, bringing that left foot forward and knee your knees down to get there. Good. And then we'll come all the way back into standing forward bend again. And just breathe. Enjoy finding that, just from being in this pose, finding that natural opening through the backs of your legs. Doesn't matter whether you're supported up higher or you have your hands down lower. Still, when you're coming forward like this, the backs of the legs are going to open up a little bit. Knees, remember, a little soft. Make sure you're not locking your knees. You can bend them as much as you want. Enjoy. Full deep breaths. And now we'll bring our hands back up to our hips, bend our knees, press into our feet, and rise up to standing, and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Let's reverse to inhale the hands straight on up through the midline. And on the exhale, open the arms like wings as we come forward, back to standing forward bend. Let your next inhale help you find that nice long back. Good. And we're going to walk into down dog from here. So easy to put your hands the height you want to be. And then just walk yourself on back. Hug your elbows towards each other. If you need to walk your dog, by all means do. If you like to bend both your knees, just play a little bit. You can even wag your tail if you want to. Just be really easy there. And on your next inhale, come on out to that plank. Optional back bend. You don't have to do one. You can come down and do a sphinx on the floor. You can do a little cobra. You can let your hips sink down a little bit. Come towards an up dog if you want to. And then we'll make our way back again into down dog. Remember, those are optional, those back bends. Once you're in dog, just enjoy. Elbows hug in. Remember, find that real sense of comfort in your shoulders. And then we'll come out again towards that plank. And again, it's totally optional to add a back bend here, and whichever kind of back bend you choose to do if you want to do one. And then we'll make our way back again into downward facing dog pose. And we will bring our right foot forward this time to find lunge. And then we'll come all the way back into standing forward bend again. Right to the breaths. See if you can. Appreciate those little spaces between your breaths. Good. One more nice full deep breath here. And then we'll bend our knees, press into our feet, rise on up to standing, and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together to be right in front of our chest. Coming into your mountain pose, if you need to shift around or change a little bit in how you're standing, do. And then just be mindful. Let yourself enjoy, whether your eyes are opened or closed. Just imagine looking out beyond the wall. Maybe even picture being out in an empty, open field so you can really feel the space around you. We'll go ahead and release our arms on down beside us and move around, shake out, whatever you need to do. Move through your feet, your ankles. I'm going to turn my chair around, but we are going to come into Warrior 2 first, so have your blocks handy. We'll step our right foot back and get our heels lined up. Whether your feet are 2 feet or 3 feet or 4 feet apart, right? It's that bend of that front knee that's so important. So make sure you're aligned there. And then just start to reach out through your fingertips here, letting yourself soften your shoulders down. Feeling the feet in the floor. Now for a second, let your back knee bend a little bit too. So both your knees are bent a little bit. Feel very equal between your legs. Now if you're comfortable to straighten that right leg back out, go right ahead and do that. It's fine to leave that knee a little bent if you need to as well. Reaching out through the fingertips, bringing your right hand now right onto your right hip. We're going to straighten the left leg out. Both legs are straight now. And we're going to bring that left hand down for triangle. So bringing your hand down, maybe to the chair, right? Maybe to your thigh. Maybe you want to slide your hand down more towards your shin or towards the seat of the chair or a block. And as you draw the right shoulder up, you're welcome to reach your right arm straight up from your shoulder if you want to. If that bothers your shoulder, just don't do it. Keep your hand down on your hip. So feeling that sense of engagement of the thighs, lifting up towards the hips. Letting yourself feel lengthened out over that front leg. One more breath. And then we're going to bend that front knee and we're going to come on back into Warrior 2. Press the feet a little away from each other as you come. Now let's bring our hands down. Let's turn our feet at first a little more parallel, but then rotate your heels forward. We're going to do a little goddess. So your toes are going to turn out a little bit. You're going to bend your knees, and you might want to look down and make sure your knees are coming out over the center of your feet. And it doesn't have to be a deep knee bend, right? Think about your tailbone dropping straight down and your shoulders being over your hips. So you're trying not to lean forward, right? But you also don't want to tuck your tailbone up under you and lean backward. Good. And then bring your arms straight out from your shoulders and bend your elbows to 90 degrees so the palms face forward. There's your goddess right there. And then from there, just bring your arms together in front of you. Elbows are still bent. And bring your left arm over your right. And then come in towards sending the backs of your hands towards each other, or your full eagle wrap if you want. So if you decide you want your right hand to come to your left palm, do it. Otherwise, just letting the arms kind of reach with the backs of the hands coming towards each other or towards the arms there. Good. One more breath. And now unwind your arms. Let them come on down. We're going to straighten our legs out. We're going to turn our feet more parallel. And come on forward. Grab those blocks if you need them for your wide-legged forward bend. So take your time. Let your hands be on whatever surface you like as you start to adjust in your stance, bending a knee at a time if that feels okay to you. Being really mindful of taking your time there. And then come on back into center. Let's walk our hands over to the right, or just shift your blocks a little to the right if you want. Go towards the right foot if you choose, and let yourself stay there for a breath. And then we're going to walk back through center, and we're going to go to the other side. So again, you can just shift your blocks a little to the left. You can walk over towards your foot. Stay here for a nice breath. Good. And then come on back into center again. And go ahead, take your time. You're welcome to stack those blocks up if you want to get out of your hands, but you really know that you like to keep that length of your spine. You might want to put your forearms on the blocks, or you may decide you'd like to bring your hands down more towards the ground. That's up to you and how your back feels. Remember, your knees can be bent in this pose. Knees can be straighter in the pose. Totally up to you. One thing about this pose is if you do come into straighter legs, it's pretty difficult to lock your knees. So, if you do come into straight legs and you kind of send your heels out a little farther, sometimes that can be just a really nice little added addition. But be mindful, go to your breath. Feel that release through your face again. Come back to that, feeling the exhales really release any tension you might feel in your face, your jaw. Such a quieting pose. One more breath. Just be very mindful as you start to come up. If you need to adjust your feet before you come up, by all means do that. And once you're up, if you're dizzy, keeping your feet wide can be helpful so that you don't, fall over. So take your time.
That's the challenge.
We're going to come to the other side. It is such a relaxing pose, though. That pose is, for most people, easier than coming forward with their feet closer together. So step that left foot back, line up your heels, let yourself line up that front knee. Remember, you really want to be aligned with that front knee. Make sure it's not going out beyond your ankle, and then float your arms on up and out, and let yourself soften your shoulders down as you bring your gaze out over the top of that right hand, and feel that sense of allowing the tops of the shoulders to release down. So lift your shoulders up for a second, right? You can really feel that, right? So if you can then just, it's like this big sigh. The shoulders release down. It's like your arms are being held up from underneath instead of on top of your shoulders. Good. Feel the feet in the mat equally. Bring your left hand now down onto your left hip. Straighten that right leg out. So both legs are straight. Right hand is going to come down for triangle. So again, you can put it right there above your knee. That's far enough. If you want to go lower, go for it. If you want to let your hand go down, lower down your leg, extending your torso out over, or it's fine to stay up higher. Thighs are lifting up. Left arm can come up straight up from your shoulder if you choose to. Feel those thighs engaging up towards the hips, like you're creating space in your knees, literally. You're really lifting upward, right? Good. One more breath there. And now bend that right knee. We're going to come on back into Warrior Two, pressing those feet away from each other. And as our hands come down this time, we're going to, again, bring our toes on around and then let our toes turn out a little bit for that little bit of a goddess. So bend your knees a little. It doesn't have to be a deep goddess. The hips are working. Even if you barely bend your knees, you feel the knees out over the center of the feet. And then when you're ready to bring your arms up, let them come on up into those goddess arms. Really spread your hands here. Really spread those fingers wide. Reach your thumbs and your pinkies way far away from each other. Good. And then bring your arms forward. They're still bent. Bring your right arm on top of your left. So now you've got your elbows kind of crossed. And then you're just going to send the backs of the hands towards each other. Or do your full wrap if you want. Left hand, the fingers can come to that right palm. If you like to do the full wrap, or you can keep your hands apart, it still feels great in your shoulders. You know, it still just feels that openness between the shoulder blades on your back. Good. One more breath. And then release your arms on down. Straighten your legs out so you can turn your toes more forward now. And again, grab your blocks if you need them as you come on forward into that wide-legged forward bend. So take your time. Actually, see if you can let your hands or your block go way out in front of you. So the block's not under your face anymore. It's way farther out in front of you. Or your hands are farther out. And then see if you can kind of just let yourself release. Almost like you're doing a down dog with your back, right? So you can let yourself feel your chest melting down a little towards the ground. You can feel it in your shoulders. One more breath. And then let your hands or your block come on back. And again, set yourself up to be in this pose here, however you choose to be. So hands can be the traditional pose, is bringing your hands between your feet. So your hands are shoulder distance apart. Elbows can hug in towards each other and shoulders draw away from your ears. But of course, that's not for everybody's back. So you be where you need to be. Sometimes holding ankles feels good. Supporting yourself with your forearms on your shins. And that can lengthen your spine out, but get you quite low. But it's up to you. Elbows above the knees, you know that. Forearms on the blocks. Take your time. Release your face. And watch your breath. Nothing more important than just watching your breath right now. Good. And now rise up. Be really mindful as you start to bring yourself on up to standing again, using your hands to help you and letting yourself release on up. And then, again, walk around a little bit if you need to. Move around a little bit. And we're going to come into stepping our right foot back. I'm going to turn my chair around, so if you're using a chair, we're going to step our right foot back to find a lunge here. So either hands to the blocks, probably highest height would be better, or bringing your hands up to the seat of the chair if you want. Once you're in that lunge, all we're going to do is come into pyramid pose by bringing that right foot in enough to release the heel down towards the floor. That right foot is turned out maybe 20, 30 degrees, and now both legs are straightening out. So thighs are lifted up. You're extending your torso out over that front leg. And you know, if it doesn't feel quite right, just changing the length of your stance can make a huge difference in this pose. You know, if it doesn't feel right and you feel like, I want to shorten it, And that doesn't make it less, trust me. It just makes it different. Or you may decide you want to try to go a little bit longer. And as long as you can keep your heel on the floor and you feel yourself pretty level in your hips. And your feet are grounded here. Good. Now for fun, keep your right hand down, bring your left hand to your left hip, and see about just rolling into that little bit of a twist. Rolling that shoulder up. Palm is down on your sacrum. There's a twist in the middle of your back. Make sure that left foot is still fully on the floor. Don't roll to the outside edge of the foot. Make sure the big toe mound is pressing in. Good. And then bring your hand on back down to the block or the chair. And you can fold forward over your leg if that feels even better. And if you're like, yeah, no, that doesn't feel better, that feels worse, then stay up to where you're more long, parallel to the floor. Good. One more breath. And then we're going to bend the front knee. Find your lunge for a breath here. Really let that heel release directly behind your foot. And all we're going to do is switch legs in the lunge. So coming now forward with the right foot and back with the left. So getting into that lunge at first. Really let yourself enjoy finding the lunge, lengthening out. Good. Now to adjust to this pyramid, as you straighten that front leg, most of us will probably have to pull the foot up a little bit and make the stance a little shorter, but not everybody. So you've got to find that length of stance where you feel like both legs are straight, your back heel is on the floor, the back foot is turned out maybe 20 or 30 degrees. So you want a little bit of turnout in that back foot. And now thighs are really still engaging upward. So you're protecting, as you're stretching your hamstrings right now, you're protecting them by lifting up with your thigh muscles, right? Now as you're lengthened out, bring your right hand on up to your right hip and let yourself just roll, if you can, that shoulder up. Put your palm down and flat on your sacrum. Try to get as level as you can in your hips. And again, be aware of that right foot. Make sure you're not rolling to the outside. Really press into the big toe mound. Almost make an X in the bottom of your foot. And then at the end of the X's, think about all the ends of the X's, each line really being down into the ground. And then we're going to release and bring our hand back down. If you'd like to fold over that leg, you're more than welcome to. If it doesn't feel good, don't do it. Stay up higher. Make sure you're feeling okay about where you are. Good. One more breath. And then come up enough to step forward to get your feet right underneath you into standing forward bend. Take your time, release to where you can. Good. And then we'll bring our hands to our hips. We're going to rise on up to standing and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come right down together in front of our hearts. So take your time, just enjoy. If you need to shift around a little bit, do. Maybe even bend your knees a little bit and feel your feet in the floor. Enjoy finding that centering of being in your mountain pose. Good, good. And then let your arms come on down beside you. Shake out a little bit. And we're going to walk to a wall, but we're going to leave our mats where they are. And bring both your blocks with you. All right? So, Pat, you can be right here. You can use this wall with me. And you two can be on that wall. And yeah, that's good, I think. Yeah, because I think you guys will be fine right there. Because you got the pole. You're lucky, actually. And I think, Helen, you're short enough. You're going to reach fine. So we're going to do a little half moon. All right, so let's turn our right shoulder towards the wall. Pat, is this in your way? You're okay, right?
I think so.
Okay. So let yourself come with your hands to your blocks where your right foot is maybe 3 to 5 inches away from the wall, right? So that when you shift to lift your left leg up, all right, you can let yourself stay with the toes facing down, and there's a warrior 3. You don't have to come to half moon. You can stay right here in your warrior 3. Or if you'd like, you can go ahead and start to stack that left hip on top of the right, roll your shoulder up, bring your left hand up to your left hip, and open up to the center of the room into that half moon. Totally optional. Don't do it if it hurts your hip. Stay where your hands are down with your toes down. There's a warrior three, very strengthening. This is more of a hip opener to let yourself open into that half moon with your back to the wall. Good, one more breath. And then let yourself release. We're gonna come on down and we're gonna come back up with both our blocks on our hands so we can turn around, okay, and do the other side. So you guys who are short spaced, yeah. So take your time, bring your hands down to the blocks. You're close to the wall. That left foot is there so that obviously, you know, it depends on how much you've got right back here on your hip, right, to how close you want to be to the wall. So if you lift that right foot up, toes are facing down, there's warrior three. That's a lot of work right there. If you want to work on opening that hip up, it's like you're stacking your right hip on top of your left, and you can allow your right hand to come to your hip as you turn the toes a little away from the floor. And I know this is not for everybody's hip, so everybody knows what they're doing here. If you like to stretch the top arm up, I forgot to say it on the other side, but some of you did it, so. And funny, sometimes one hip will do this and the other won't, so that's fine too. Good, so one more breath here. And we're gonna come on back down. Bring yourself on down with your foot. And we're gonna get ourselves on back up so we can come back to our own mats. And when we come down, we're gonna sit. So if you feel like you would really rather have a blanket to sit on, do, and get your strap handy. I know not everybody's favorite. Have your strap handy. And again, if you like to sit on that blanket, do. And stretch your legs out, shake them out a little bit. Actually, sit however's comfortable here at first, and take your strap. And be real careful with the metal buckle end, all right? So we're going to just at first let our straps come wide. So our hands are wide, like a wide V when you get your arms up overhead. So, you know, they can be forward. You can hug your elbows in a little bit if you can. You can rise the strap up higher. That's up to you. Yeah. But feel if you can like you're trying to make your strap. I'm pulling my hands apart like I'm trying to make my strap longer. At the same time, I don't want to do this, right? So I'm really working. Now, you can feel this right here. If you think about these muscles right here coming around underneath your arms, it's like your armpits hollow out a little bit, and this is what we work on all the time. Like whether we're in forearm plank or dolphin or your down dog, same thing. So see if one hand can come up higher and the other one can go a little bit lower so you get a little more, you're not moving your body, just your arms. And then try to come back up to go to the other side. Try not to lean. And then come on back up again. Good. And now bring the strap on forward. And if possible, if you want to, try to let your hands come a little closer. If you know your shoulders are not doing that, don't do it. And then you can start to rise the strap up again. Again, be really mindful of the buckle, end of the strap. Hug your elbows towards each other a little bit. Let yourself just open up there. Good. Nice. And if you can bring the strap a little behind you, do. And then come on back up and lower the strap on down in front of you. Good. And now feel your shoulders. Yeah, it doesn't seem like much until you've done it, right? And now you're like, oh my goodness, yes it is. It's a lot. So bring, it doesn't matter which foot, bring one foot out in front of you and bring your strap across the ball of the foot here. And then draw your heel down towards your mat, draw it back towards you, lengthen up here. And then just ease your way a little bit forward. Don't force it. Let it feel pretty good. You know, it might be an inch. If you can, try to keep your head released where you're not doing this, right? To try to get farther forward, but you drop your chin down and you just feel the back of the leg, but you're not forcing anything. And be really mindful of this knee, this bent leg knee. So if you need a block underneath it, have one. So if you need a block, you can put it under it if it feels iffy in your hip or your knee there. So be mindful of not putting stress into that bent leg. Good. And from there, we're going to slowly rise back up, and we're just going to switch. So you put your other foot in the strap. Again, once you bring this leg up, if it feels uncomfortable, and maybe it won't till you come forward a little bit too. Sometimes you're fine when you're sitting up, you're like, well, this feels fine. But then if you move forward, it puts some stress into the knee or the hip, right? So just take your time, let yourself, if you need to come up a little bit and kind of readjust because it doesn't feel quite right, but just coming forward, think of coming forward from your low back so that you're not rounding into your chest here, which none of you are. And it's not about how far you go, right? It's really getting into the back of the leg here. Good. So one more breath here. And then come on back up and just let both your feet come into the strap here. And see if you can, if it's possible, if it feels okay to you, let the big toe mounds come together to touch, but your heels, instead of being together like that, are just a little bit apart. So when you look at the outside edges of your feet, they almost seem like they're kind of close to parallel. And you know that it's not any hard and fast rule. That's what they used to say in mountain pose, that for coming into mountain pose, to try to get the outside edges of your feet parallel to each other. And now, sitting up tall here, then bend your elbows a little bit. There's a classic seated forward bend. You can bend your knees a little bit if that helps you. Release a little farther forward, right, so that you come from the low back. That's up to you, totally up to you. If bending the knees helps a little bit, then let yourself do that. Good. One more breath. If you want to come farther forward, you're more than welcome to let yourself come farther forward over your legs. And again, think of coming forward from your low back. And then we're going to come on back up, and we are going to take our feet on in, and go ahead and take your strap off, put it on off to the side. And come on into Badakanasana. Now you can use the blocks underneath your hips again, underneath your legs, to release your hips. Or you can have your feet farther out too, if that feels better for you than bringing your feet in closer. So let yourself find the kind of space here that feels good, the empty space here, the diamond shape, or having your feet in closer, where you can sit up tall, and it's easy. It's easier to sit up tall. You can lengthen up through the top of your head. Let yourself imagine your knees gently reaching away from each other. And if you like coming forward in this one, you can do the same thing, coming forward from your low back. Imagine your knees reaching away from the midline so your thighs are getting a nice release. Your inner thighs are. So right here on the insides of the legs, get a nice stretch if you can come forward from there. Good. So one more breath here. And then come on back up and let your hands come behind you. Now you can stay up on fingertips, especially if you're up on a blanket, you might want to stay up on fingertips. Let your chest draw forward a little bit, your shoulders back. Getting ready to do this supported and with that bolster. So just getting yourself really open here. And then come on back up. And let yourself bring your knees up, stretch your legs out, shake them out a little bit. And now, we're going to get our bolsters. So what you want to have handy is blocks kind of towards the foot of your mat or towards your legs on your mat. And your bolster is going to come the long way on your mat like this. because we're going to lie back on it with our backs. Now, I like sometimes to have a pillow. So I like to put a pillow sometimes at the end, and you'll know once you get, if you get down there and you don't like the pillow, then you don't use it, right? So you don't want to, when you're still with your bottom on the floor, you're not sitting up on that bolster, it's right behind you. And then all you're going to do is let yourself lay down on the bolster. And once you get there with your knees up, you can adjust how far your bottom is from the bolster, right? This is one of the little bolsters. The big bolsters feel amazing. They're awesome. Not the big ones, but the ones a lot of you have. And now the reason I said have the blocks handy, some people, if you bring yourself into that same Badakanasana we just did, soles of the feet together, and support yourself on the block, with the blocks, so that you're not hanging out in space. Sometimes this brings just the biggest, hugest relief to the low back and the hips, okay? So you got to find how far you want to be away from that bolster with your back, because you want to be really comfortable. And if you're like, there is nothing comfortable about this, then I can walk around. Maybe I can offer a little bit of help, but also just changing how far away you are, or maybe not doing the Badakanasana, maybe having your knees up instead of letting your knees open to the side. This will often release what you're talking about. If I put a pillow behind your head, would that be bad? We'll try. Oh, isn't that better? Yeah. Can I make you more? Yeah. Okay, that's much better. So we're just going to stay here for like 3 minutes. I know that doesn't sound like much, except kind of is. Do you feel it? You okay? You can leave it like that, or you can hold it long. Just stretching it out. Is that better? So you can have your knees bent, you can have your legs long, you can be supported with the blocks. This is a great way to experience 3-part breaths. Inhaling into the belly, then into your ribs, and then up into your chest. Yeah, just finagle however you need to. Yeah, just adjust however you need to adjust, always. Or just feel your arms slightly out beside you. If you can turn your palms up, sometimes that even offers more of an openness across your chest. But that's not necessary, right? Just let yourself breathe easily in and out. Mindful as you let yourself bring your knees up if you were in that Badakanasana, feet on the floor. And now to come off of this, that's another kind of hard thing. You can roll kind of to your side. We are going to come back down to lay on our backs after we get the bolster away from us. So if you need to sit up, do it. If you can roll to your side and kind of take everything out from under you do. So you end up lying back on your back though. So everything's gone and you can have your feet on the floor and just feel how you feel once you're lying back on your back on the floor. You can still put a pillow under your head, of course. But just enjoy, see how it feels, see how you feel both in the front and the back of your body. And then we'll bring our right knee in gently towards our chest and extend our left leg down long on the floor. Just let it feel good. Let yourself just feel that release of the back of the hip. And then let your left hand come to that right knee. Stretch your right arm out beside you. Just bring the knee across the midline, maybe just a little bit. Maybe you want to go farther and farther into a deeper, more of a twist there. Totally up to you how far you go over with the knee. Coming across the midline, and so using your opposite hand to draw it over. Let your right hand though stay released. Right shoulder stay released into the floor. Good, and then we'll come on back into center. And we're going to switch legs. So letting yourself bring that left knee in. Take your time, let yourself release there. Just bringing your right hand over to the left knee here now. And then take your time to bring the knee across the midline again, as far as you want to go. Back in. Let's bring both knees in towards the chest and see if you can let your knees circle. So if you can put your right hand on your right knee and your left hand on your left knee, and then keep the knees fairly close together and just let the knees circle in one direction. So that when the knees come away from you, you inhale, your arms come about straight, and then when you draw them around and towards the chest, you exhale. And then you inhale as they head away from you again. And exhale when you draw them back. Completing those circles. And then stop wherever you choose so you can reverse the direction of the circles. So letting yourself come around the other way. So it's almost like you're really finding the outline of your sacrum. The edges of your sacrum with the ground, right? Good. And then finish off so you're back into center again. And you can bring your feet on up towards either a little happy baby, or maybe you feel like you want to just stretch your legs long. Just kind of start to listen to your body. There might be any number of things. You might want to come into a bit of a wide angle, right? You may decide you just want to stretch your legs up, go a little back and forth. There might be something else entirely that sounds really good to you right now. So just take your time. Let it feel good to listen to what your body wants to do instead of you trying to make yourself do something, right? That could be any number of things. You know, of course, if you'd like to do any other pose, go for it. Any other pose or movement. You're good. Turn this off. So I'm going to walk around and head around. Start to get the rest of the lights. And then if someone needs bolsters, I will be grabbing those. So if you have a small one and you'd rather have a regular bolster for under your knees, let me know that. I mean, I know you all have a bolster there, but maybe it's not the right size. You good? And you know, you can always lay back just like we just did. If it felt so good to you that you're like, oh my gosh, I want to do that again, you can use your bolster and lie back on it again if you want to. I'll be happy to put a bolster under your knees if you want me to, if you're wanting one and you need me to, wave at me. I'm good. So take your time, let yourself just start to enjoy feeling that release down into the ground. Find a comfortable place to rest your arms. You may decide you want your arms out a little farther or in a little farther. Palms might want to face up, or you might even want to put your hands on your belly. Just be easy. Accepting your breaths in and out. And you know, as you keep coming back to your breaths, if you drift off and you briefly go to sleep, that's absolutely fine. If you get relaxed enough to do that, that's actually pretty amazing. So just give yourself permission to give in to releasing completely. And when you realize you're off into thinking, come back to your breath. And just give your body and your brain these few minutes, allowing yourself to completely and fully relax. deeper breaths as they move through, bring you back into physically feeling like moving again. And let your fingers and your toes, your hands and your feet, when you're ready, lead you into moving so that you gradually move up into your arms, your legs. You might even want to let your head roll a little side to side. You may feel like stretching, or you might feel like bringing your knees in towards your chest. Take your time. You know that you're welcome to roll to either side if you're comfortable to do that. You can come into a soft fetal position on your side and maybe stay there if that gives you a nice time to adjust. Just so when you're ready to rise up and sit, that it feels okay to get back up again and be comfortable in the way that you are sitting so that you can get your head back up there on top of your spine, eventually sitting up nice and tall, and feeling your sitting bones reaching downward and the top of the head reaching upward. And just watch your breath, eyes gently closed. Feel your breath coming in and going out through your nose. Then on your next exhale, allow your hands to come to meet there in front of your heart. And wishing each one of you a very joyful day. Namaste.
Namaste.
Happy Wednesday.